Welcome to Yoga Biz Studio, a bi-weekly broadcast of 10 to 30 minutes in length, hosted by me, Keeley Mitchell, the owner of Z Living, and my colleague,
Carla Wilson, owner of Wilson Media Services.
On each episode, we share business, legal, and marketing insights for yoga studio owners and independent yoga teachers. We use Google Plus Hangouts on air to produce our show, so you can watch via Google, YouTube, or our website at yogabizstudio.com. If you are watching our show on YouTube or our website, click on the yellow graphic at the bottom of the video viewer. This will allow you to access our event page to ask questions or comment on today's show. Today's topic is about 3 signs that it's time to expand your yoga and wellness business. Great issue to have, as Carla and I have said. We hope many of you, follow us and end up having these issues of expanding your business. And this came about since I had a conversation with one of my clients recently about this very subject, and so Carla and I thought this would be a really good topic to bring to you guys on our show.
Absolutely. Keeley, it must be so exciting for your client that, she's in this position. But I imagine, much like starting a business, it's got to be a scary place to be as well. So why don't you tell us all a little bit about her story? No names, of course, but how long has this person been in business? What's going on for her? Are her classes packed? What's happening?
Yes, it is a very exciting time for her and scary. She has been in business, I guess, for about 2 to 3 years now, and I've worked with her for about a good year. And business for her is definitely booming. She has marketed herself very well, and she has a very loyal following. The best part is she is making a profit. Wonderful, right?
Awesome, awesome.
Well, she has hit a ceiling, and this is where the problem is. All great things, but she's hit the ceiling. She runs a small studio because when she started out, she wanted to start small and make sure she could, afford the startup of the business. And it has been just her. Unfortunately, with it being just her, she can only work so many hours in a day. So now she is struggling with, does she hire more people, or does she move to a new location, or better yet, does she open a second location and keep the first one? Pretty much my client sits in a wonderful position that many would love to have her problem, but unfortunately, it's still a problem that is very frustrating.
Yeah, I can imagine that it is frustrating for her. So here are our 3 signs that we're going to outline for everybody. Number 1, she's making a profit. Number 2, she's got a full book of classes, and number 3, she has loyal clients who keep coming back. So I bet it must be frustrating, but yay for her consistent marketing efforts. That has helped to create clients who are also raving fans who are helping to keep her classes full. I definitely give her kudos for that, and woohoo, she's making a profit. I mean, we've all got to celebrate that. So, I'm sure that when she started her business, she didn't think that she'd hit a ceiling this early in her business. Those are big questions to have to answer. Do I hire more folks? Do I move to a new location? Do I open a second location? I bet she's feeling the pressure of not knowing the best path to take. Thank God she has you, Keeley. So what were your next steps to help her make a decision to how to move forward?
With most of my clients, I had her focus on what was her ultimate goal, because sometimes once the business gets rolling, people forget what their ultimate goal is or how they define success. So right. I wanted her to focus back on how does she define success, because success looks different to each one of us. Was her goal to expand with multiple locations? Does she want to run one huge location and have a staff underneath her so that she could sit back and stop teaching classes? How much time does she want to be available for her family? I always ask my clients to remember, like I said, their ultimate goals and what is most important to them when making these decisions. Family is huge to my client. One of the reasons she started her own business was so that she could be available to her young children. So she definitely does not want to be working around the clock. In fact, she wanted to kind of slow down so that she could have more time for her kids because she's booming, and with it just being her, she's actually working a lot. So right there took the second location off the table, at least for right now. Opening a second location would have meant spending more time away from her family. We agreed to revisit that idea once her children were a little bit older. So that leaves us with hiring a staff or moving to a new location. Each option poses a set of pros and cons for my client to look at. So I want people to be out there, when you have options, do a pros and cons list. It's nothing like seeing it black and white on paper. And be honest, because I know we've all done pros and cons and we kind of like sway in one direction, so we're trying to pack one side. But I want you to be honest when you do it. So just hiring a staff is a great idea. It gives her more time at home. However, her small space does not permit her to run multiple classes at the same time. Therefore, she will be hiring a staff to run normal classes she runs now by herself. Maybe she could get a little bit more in, but now she has to worry about paying people and the issues that come along with having a staff. And eventually that does reduce the profit pot. Moving to a new location, which is bigger, allows my client to have more classes simultaneously, which increases her revenue. But then she's struggling with finding a location that appeases her current clients. She doesn't want to lose her loyal clientele. It also creates a larger overhead for her to cover. The larger rent, employee salaries may not create the extra revenue she's striving for. But after weighing the pros and cons of each option, my client decided to relocate, and not immediately, but plan to relocate. So we are currently reviewing her numbers. What is she able to really afford based on what's coming in, and finding a local real estate that she feels comfortable with that will keep her current clientele, but also allow her to reach out and branch out to more people. So that's, she wants to keep her current success without destroying it. So we went with the new location. So we're just in the process of like looking everything over and doing a business plan to make sure that she expands correctly.
Nice, nice. Again, this is just a prime example of regular reviewing your business plan and your goals. I'll reiterate what you said. Success is defined differently for each business owner. So maybe initially her one-day goals were to expand to a second location, but then realizing that she'd be away from her family more often, it really helped make that decision. It helped her understand that wouldn't be the decision, at least for right now. Right. So reviewing your goals on a regular basis allows you to make changes to the goals too. That's right. You created those goals, so you have the right to change them if you want. You can change those rules whenever you want to. So I think the questions that you were asking really helped her define her options. And of course, she also had the option to raise her rates and stay at the same location, but that would kind of bite her in the butt, so to speak. Opening a bigger location will help her leverage her time and the time of the folks that she'll hire. This is, or as Michael Gerber, the author of the E-Myth, would say, she would have more time to work on her business rather than just in it.
Exactly. And I'm glad you raised the point of raising her rates, because I also did discuss with her, branching out and doing workshops and retreats, delivering these type of higher end products that she can deliver to her clients with less amount of time being invested. In addition, we discussed creating monthly unlimited packages for her loyal customers as well, and discussing like raising those rates. And while she loved all these ideas and plans to put them into effect in some way, it ultimately came down to the fact that the new location would just be the best bet for her. Everyone is different, and someone else may have a different conclusion based on their specific circumstances. The most important thing is to walk yourself through the process when you're faced with these three signs of like whether you expand, and like Carla has said, it's like about if you're making a profit and your classes are packed, and you've been in business long enough to know the ebb and flow of your business, that's very, very important, so that you know when your down period is, when the high period is, so you know how to adjust your revenue coming in so you can make it through the down period. When you're faced with these 3 signs, walk yourself through the process. Ask the important questions.
Absolutely, absolutely. Keeley, thank you. He says it's so great that you were able to break it down and, into easy questions for her, to ask her, and then, help her, make it very easy for her to make her decision. And she's, basically the clients are self-discovering their own answers, or they're just going back to, oh yeah, that's what I said when I started my business. That's really where I wanted to go. I wanted to remind our audience that if you're watching this live or watching this after the fact, feel free to enter any questions you might have in the Q&A panel that is below the video viewer. And the other thing I wanted to point out to you is that we have 2 event links listed for you on the page to the right. They are 2 events in the Metro Philadelphia area. The first is happening on Wednesday, March 25th in Westchester, Pennsylvania. One of our friendly yoga studios, Siva Power Yoga, will be hosting a workshop of Brian Kest. If you've not been to Brian Kest's workshop before, I highly suggest it. We have the link there to the registration page for that. And secondly, we have a link to a yoga festival being held on Saturday, April 18th in Philadelphia. It will be held at the WHYY building downtown, and that is Namaste Philly. I am lucky enough to be helping with the event, organizing volunteers this year, and just wanted to make everybody aware of those yoga events happening in the next few months. So we hope that you join us.
Oh.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say the lineup for Namaste, like on April 18th, is amazing. So yeah. I'm telling everyone to go check it out. It's an amazing, amazing lineup.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Our next episode of Yoga Biz Studio will be on March 5th, and we will discuss the story that you tell that helps you connect with your yogis. Please feel free to message us with any questions or show ideas. Our email address is yogabizstudio@gmail.com. Our website is yogabizstudio.com, and you can find us on the social networks of Google+, Facebook, and Twitter at Yoga Biz Studio.
Thanks, Carla, and thank you to our audience for joining us today. Our Yoga Biz Studio is brought to you bi-weekly, by me, Keeley Mitchell of Z Living, and Carla Wilson of Wilson Media Services. Until our next episode, namaste.
Namaste, everyone.